Hello and welcome to the Unlock Potential podcast. On this week's episode, we have Enya Martin from Give Us a Laugh, or Coach Enya. And we spoke to her about how she started in the comedy industry and where she's heading to next. I hope you enjoy. Hey Enya, thanks so much for coming on. No bother. So for anybody listening, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Enya Martin. You might know me from Give Us a Laugh on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And I've been going around years. So I do stand-up comedy as well. So that's something I ventured into the last few years. So if you've come to see me live or you watch me on social media, or you might be watching me on social media after this or come to see me live, then hello.
So how did you get into doing what you do?
So when I was in secondary school, like there was no such thing as like social media or anything, you know, like I loved going to drama like classes and stuff in the community centre, and I was a bit crack in school. Like I say to piss out my teachers and my friends. I was always the type of person that if the class was really quiet and my teacher said something, I'd be the like wittiest one and just shout out something, the whole class would laugh. Do you know what I mean? Like I used to love catching the teachers out, but in a funny way, like they would laugh too. And then I kind of never really thought anything into it. I thought like, oh, she's just witty or something, because my brother's like that as well. I have a twin brother and he's very like that.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. And we were in the same school, but I just thought, well, I'm just going to have to go get a job like everyone else after our school, go to college for 4 years. And like, I never really liked the idea of working for anyone else. It made me really nervous or something, because I'm shit at taking direction. I really am. Like someone would tell me, bring A over to B, and I'd end up bringing it home with me. Like, you know, it's like really shit. And that used to make me really nervous. Like I worked in like pubs as a lounge girl. I worked in Extravision. But I ended up finishing school then and going to college, and I studied advertising and marketing. But my first option on my CAO, I think that's what the form's called, was creative digital media in IT tele. And that was like to do with radio production, TV and all like that. Because I did have a big interest in that, and still not knowing that like where I would end up. But I ended up not being able to get that because I didn't get like a C1 in higher level English. Like imagine not getting a C1 in the language I'm fluent in, like, you know, but I didn't get it. So my second option was advertising and marketing communications, and that was in tele IT as well. So I knew like there was a lot of creativity, because I did feel I was a creative person, and I was really, really good at business studies in school. And I ended up winning like business student of the year and all. Like which is why like I'll get to that now in a minute. Like I have like multiple streams of income, like because of how I grew up, like we got by, like, you know, I wouldn't say we grew up in poverty, but I just think that's a reason why I'm like want to be so financially secure. Yeah. Because I remember what it was like to have nothing. But I ended up doing advertising and marketing communications for 4 years, and it was in the last 2 years I started doing the videos. I remember seeing Darren Conway first posting videos, and like a couple of other people, and I was like, oh, I'd love to do something like that, like put yourself out there. I was never afraid to stand up in front of an audience and speak, like. And I ended up putting up a video. I wanted to base it around like one of the girls from around the area. Like she used to always talk about our fella, and he was a walking scumbag, like, you know, and she used to say like the sun shines out of his arse. So I made up a character. I literally grabbed a jacket off me landing. It was my brother's Adidas jacket, got it, and I had a hat in my room. And that's how Shanta was born, like. And people like really responded well to it. Even though I was terrified, I put up my personal page first to see how it would go down. And I started making more kind of videos, still putting up on my personal page. That's when the Irish Mammy came along as well. Now, when I look back, I was really, really young. Like I think I was on like 23, like, and you could see I still had like the puppy fat on my face. My voice was different. I used to record it in black and white because I was like, I don't like how my skin looks on camera and stuff. Like I was really self-conscious still, but I still put it out, and I was getting good feedback. And someone had said to me, would you not make a page where like more people can see this? And I was like, oh God, no, I don't know. You know, I was a bit nervous about that, but I did. And I remember closing the laptop for the first time, and I was like, oh God, it's out there now. Like it's like once it's out on the internet, like that's it, you know. Closed the laptop, came back to half an hour later, like butterflies in my stomach. And like back then I used to think that if something got like 500 likes, that was like super viral. Now I'm just like, that's at the flopping, you know, of like a full video. Yeah. But yeah, more people kept catching on the more videos I uploaded, and like people were like, oh, I know someone like that. And that's the key behind the success of the videos, is that everyone can relate to it, and it has to be something that people can relate to. The same with stand-up comedy. If you're talking about stuff on stage that people can't relate to, they're not going to find it funny, you know. So it's always about like the Irish mammy or that friend in the group, or, you know, like relationships and stuff. Like when I did videos with Rory Stories, like they went super viral as well. But
I thought that was your fella originally when I seen the first show.
Loads of people thought that, like the height of him, he's like a basketball player, like. But yeah, no, there's actually a really funny story. I was invited to his wedding because I was actually been doing videos with him for about a year, and I was invited to his wedding, and I didn't stay for the day two. Like, me and my fella went home, and they went into another function room for day two, and like they had a big banner up. The people had put a big banner up in the function room, and it said, "Congratulations, Rory and Enya."
Oh my God, stop.
Yeah.
The people that walked there.
Yeah, they genuinely thought it was Rory and me getting married.
Oh my God, stop it.
Now, his wife saw the funny side of it, but like, how could you not double check?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was hilarious. But anyway, what was I saying? So yeah, I was doing internships after I left college anyway, because I was like, I'm never going to make income from this. Like, well, I never thought like I'd never make income, but I was like, it's going to be a good few years. I hadn't got any opportunities really. And that's when I started making the videos with Rory. He was like, oh, I work with this company they call Outset Agency. Like, they work with like content creators, and like, you know, it'd be worth a while giving them an email and seeing what they think, because I had made If Mean Girls was set in Dublin at that stage, and a couple of other videos that had gone really, really viral. So yeah, I ended up getting my first job off them, well, my first paid video, and I was still in the internship, and then I was getting contacted then about doing stand-up, like, which I had wanted to avoid. Like, I hated the idea of doing stand-up. And I got roped into doing like 5 minutes in Whelan's. It was called Pop the Cherry. And they had a 5-minute slot for beginners. And they were like, come on, you've nothing to lose. If you don't do it now, you never will. So I ended up doing it, and I actually loved it. Now, looking back now, the material was shit. And then I had Outset Agency working with me, and I ended up leaving the internship. I was only making 100 quid a week, but I was like, I feel wasted sitting at this desk. I feel like I'm built for so much more than this. Like, obviously, like, some people aspire to, like, you know, be the head of a company, and they love that. They're totally comfortable with doing 9 to 5. But for me, I felt like I just wanted to work for myself and like make, like I said, I couldn't take direction off other people. So to work for myself was always the dream. And I remember looking on Google one day when I was broke, like I was in between school and college, like how to make money without doing anything.
Stop.
All the things I used to Google, yeah. And to be honest, I always see memes now, and it's like, you are where you dreamed of 15 years ago or 10 years ago or something like that. And it's so true. Like, you know, 5 years ago I dreamed of where I am now.
Yeah, that's what you were going for in college and anyways.
Yeah, so like, and you know what, I saw out college, I did the 4 years, but in year 4 I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to end up doing something like this. I think I am going to try and like explore more like the characters, comedy, and like the, you know, the online stuff. And back then no one was really doing it. Now everybody's on social media making money from it, you know. But yeah, like, and then that brings us up then to today. Like, started doing the stand-up, started selling shows. I had already built my audience, you know. So that was half the battle. A lot of people start in clubs, and it takes them years to build up an audience. But thankfully, because of social media, like, I was selling out my first tour because everybody knew who I was already from online. And I was able to buy my first car then out of my first tour. It was a little over Corsa. And yeah, I was able to finally earn money. Now, look, the first year was like hit and miss. You know, I was able to get by, and now I'm like able to invest money into other things and like start new business, not businesses, but you know, projects and stuff. Yeah, it's great. Like, it's unreal. Like how back then in 2014, 2015, like be nearly the end of 2014 is when I uploaded my first video to Gives a Laugh. So it'll be nearly 10 years, like next year.
Yeah, unreal. Yeah, I remember I went, only Christmas now, I went to one of your shows called Ask Your Ma in Portmar. Was it Portmar Leisure Centre?
So do you know now why it was called Ask Your Ma, do you?
Not really. I still kind of
because it was about living with me fella and how mammy they are, and he's always like, my ma doesn't do it like that.
Okay,
and then if you have been to see the show, like that's the last.
I don't know how I never even caught that yet. See, I was drinking. I was locked.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? I'd say a lot of people have to come see me twice because they're pissed. I'd say a lot that I don't really drink when I go to see comedy shows because I know I'll forget a lot of the stuff and I want to enjoy it. Like, do you know what I mean? So I always go drinking afterwards. Like, I'll have one or two, but.
And you have another. Is it the same show in Vicar Street? Is it coming up?
Yeah. So I went around to kind of smaller venues in Dublin and then other parts of Ireland as well with it. But I'm bringing it to Vicar Street. On the 22nd of September. Like, I think there's like a handful of tickets left. Yeah. So yeah, if you are looking to come see me, or you do know of me, or you are planning to come see me, yeah, I'm going to be in Dublin. That's my next Dublin date. Yeah. I think it's my only Dublin date for a while. It'll probably be the last time I'll be in Vicar Street with that show. Because I'm hoping then to write a new one, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you make up the jokes or whatever, then kind of learn them off by heart and then do it? Or do you just kind of go off the top of your head like what you're going to say?
Oh God, no, I don't know how. Like Jason Bourne, like I know him well, I do, he's gas. He'd literally walk out on the stage for a full hour and just take the piss out of the audience, and like he'd have material there ready to use, but he can make a whole show out of doing that. And like I love that style of comedy as well, because people know it's not planned. But I love telling stories, which links to me videos. Like I love portraying characters and talking about certain situations, because that's what my videos are about. So I'll have it rehearsed, like I'll write it over the course of a few months. Like I can't just sit down with a pen and paper and write a whole show. Like it's actually really hard to do that, like, because you'd get drained after a few minutes being like, oh, I can't think of anything else. Yeah. It just comes shit, and in the most random place you'd be out on a walk or in the shower and you'd be like, that's actually a really good joke, I'm going to try that on stage. And then there's no better feeling now when it actually does go down well. You're like, yes. But now I have like bullet points that I'll bring out on the stage with me, obviously before the audience comes in. Like it's just a sheet of paper and it's like just a structure of my show. So I'll be like...
so have a quick look over them, whatever.
Like if something happens in the audience or you get thrown or something, someone screams out something and you start interacting with them, like having the laugh. Like sometimes you can forget where you were in your story. Yeah. So that's what you look back at that page and like, oh yeah, we're talking about moving in with me fella. Like that's usually what I have there. But I used to get really nervous that I would forget everything. So I used to have like about 10 pages on these dummy speakers like that were facing me with like full on blown sentences. And if anything, it just made me worse because I'd be constantly looking at them, you know, afraid. They were like a comfort blanket. But you'd be surprised when you actually do the show so many times. It's just like muscle memory. It's like learning to drive. Like, you know, you're driving with your eyes closed after a few years. That's what it's like.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. How do you get the confidence for like standing in front of so many people?
Oh, you just have to fake it till you make it. Like you think I'm confident when I'm standing on stage, but you should see me behind the corner and absolutely rattling. Like, well, I wouldn't say rattling, but pacing back and forth. You're just thinking, when it's your own show, like it's not too bad. You're actually excited going out because you're like, they already love me. They're after buying a ticket to come see me. Like that's half the battle.
That's good that you think of it like that.
Yeah,
like that,
because
you know?
they bought a ticket, so they either came to see you before and really enjoyed it, so they're coming to see it again. And there's always that thing in the back of your mind, like I hope I don't let them down with this show. I hope like they walk out thinking, oh, you know, it was just as good as the last one or else even better. Like my biggest fear is that they'll walk out being like, I don't know, it wasn't really that good. Like you are going to get people like that 100%.
You're not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah, you're not going to please 1,000 people. Like I think 1,100 people fit into Vicar Street, but you're not going to please every single person because they're going to be bringing people with them who aren't really into comedy and they're like, yeah, no, I didn't really.
That was
really
like me bringing Craig, but he absolutely loved it. He was like,
did
that
he?
was gas.
I love when like girls bring their fellas. And you know, you see a lot of couples because I'll always say to my manager, like, have a look out there, like, what's the audience like? And he'd always say, yeah, a lot of women, a lot of couples as well. Like, and you know, I love that lads can come and like a lot of the stuff in it they can relate to as well because they're in the fella's shoes, whereas the girls are in my shoes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The video you put up on Instagram about building an IKEA furniture.
Oh yeah. What was, we don't even call it IKEA anymore. We call it I'll kill you, I'll fuck you.
That was gas. I literally sent it to him straight away. I was like, that's me and you.
Like the amount of times we put things together and then it's finally finished and then we're like, oh my God, we're at the putting the whole thing back to front.
Oh, stop. Yeah.
I'm like, there's a reason they don't put a hammer in the box.
Yeah.
But no, like you have to fake it till you make it. Like you have to walk out there and just act like it's like you're putting on a mask. Like people always meet me in the street or, you know, wherever on a night out who have come to see me and they're like, you're really quiet in person. And I'm like, that's like an alter ego on stage nearly.
Yeah.
You know, like that's who I am in my videos when I'm on stage. But when you see me in person, like I'm actually quite reserved. You know, like I'm not a big loudmouth that people might think I am. Like when I'm around me friends, like, yeah, I'll have a bit of crack, but I am really shy. And a lot of people I went to school with, a group around my area, they always say to me, I can't believe you're doing what you're doing because you were so quiet growing up. Like I really was so shy. But I think I was like a sponge. I was just soaking everything in. I was looking at how people like used to behave and all, and then I use it in my videos then, you know.
Yeah.
So my mum always says, you watched everything when you were a baby. Like you watched everyone and everything. Like you were so nosy. Like, so I think that's how I'm able to like kind of pick up on people's behaviours or like, you know, the Irish mammy or like just loads of things that I can use then in my comedy.
Yeah.
You know?
The characters that you have in your videos, not they're really good, like.
Yeah, but everyone can relate to it. And that's what a lot of the stuff I talk about in my new show is about moving in with me fella, like for the first time. And
so is this Ask Your Ma.
This is Ask Your Ma.
I thought you were talking about a new one that you're kind of bringing out now, the next one.
Yeah, I actually don't know what to do that on about. Like, and do you know what you do? Once you have that show box off, like the one that I'm doing now, Ask Your Ma, when new jokes start coming to you, like, I'm not going to put them into this show because that one's boxed off now. I'm going to start putting them on notes for the next show. And then you kind of start building it around a theme, like, right, well, I do it about where I grew up. So you're doing not an hour's material, but, you know, the bulk of it will be about where I grew up. Or it could be me friend group, you know, like all the types of girls in your WhatsApp.
I love that video you got when you're going out in your 30s.
Yeah.
That was
I'm like literally the moan in that video. I really am. I'm like, will we leave early to get a taxi? Or like, is there no seats? Oh, I'm not staying here if there's no seats. Like, I am one of those. I really am.
Yeah, no, they're absolutely gas. So, going back into what how you started, or what did you do then after Extravision? You said.
Yeah, so I was in Extravision, and that I literally got that job straight out of college. And I was doing an internship at the same time. So basically what happened was, obviously in the summer I was able to do whatever hours in Extravision. But then when I got that internship, I had to work 9 to 5. And then Extravision opened from 6 to 10. So that's how I would make like a little few bob, because I was only making 100 quid a week in that internship. So I needed like more money. I was in there for about 4 or 5 years, that Extravision. And then it closed down. But yeah, and then eventually when I left the internship and Extravision was still open, I was still trying to juggle Extravision and then like me social media. Then that closed down in 2015, I think.
Yeah, they're all gone now, aren't they?
I think it was 2015 or 2017. I'm not too sure. I'm terrible with years. Like, but when it closed down, I was like, right, now I really am on my own. And do you know what? Like, that
was probably a good thing for you.
It was. That was the best thing for me. And do you know what? I was so lucky as well, because I know a lot of people don't have this luxury. Like, I didn't have any kids. I didn't have a mortgage. I was still living in my ma's. Like, I had the luxury of not being worried about, oh God, how am I going to pay this bill if I go out on my own? Like, literally all I had to do was just pay my ma rent and my credit union. Like, you know what I mean? That's all I had. I hadn't even got a car at that stage. But no, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. And if anything, it made me work harder. And like I said, I was just getting by. But it was enough to kind of keep me going. Like, and yeah, it just all started falling into place. I think it was 2015 or 2017, my manager contacted me then about doing live shows then and put me first tour together. And I was like, absolutely not. I only have about 5 minutes of material to my name. But thank God he pushed me. Like, we booked a load of venues. I hadn't even got a show written. And he's like, right, we're after booking these. This was the January. And he goes, you have your show in the summertime. So I ended up doing a sketch show, like, which people knew me for. So the Sharon character, the Chantal character, I got a couple of actors. And and then after that then I was slowly starting to build up my stand-up. So I used to have a support act that would come out at the start, and then I would do my sketches, and then there'd be a break. Then the support act would come back out, and then I'd do my sketches. Then eventually I'm just doing full stand-up now. Like, my whole show is just stand-up, you know? Yeah. It's not even the sketches anymore. So yeah, it's mad now to think back how far, like, and then COVID obviously happened. And for the first time in a long time, I realised what it was like to be self-employed, because when you're sick, no one pays you. When you're on holidays, no one pays you. Like, you have to basically like save up a little bit to keep you going or dip into your savings. But when COVID hit, like, I shit myself. Because I was, like I said before we started the podcast, like, I was building up momentum. And then bang, COVID happened, and then nothing happened for 2 years. Yeah. And then now I only feel like I'm starting to build up momentum again with my live stuff and like online again. And for the first time I thought to myself, where am I going to get my money from? I can't do any live shows. They were getting cancelled left, right and centre, postponed, rescheduled. Like, that was my...
And you obviously have to pay, like, to rent out the premises that you're actually doing the live show in.
Now, the good thing is, like, if the show doesn't happen, like, because of stuff like that, like, if you only sold 2 tickets, yeah, like, you've basically to pay them rent. But usually if you sell it out, they just take it out of your ticket sales, which is handy, like, you know.
Nice, you just pay them after.
Yeah, it's great like that. And obviously if you only half sell it out, you earn less money, because they have to be paid first and foremost, you know. But yeah, everything was getting postponed. Like, I had a Vicar Street show that had to get postponed and all, and I was like, oh my God, like, I literally had some of that money spent in my head. Like, I was like, right, I'm going to sort out this, I'm going to pay for this. And I was thinking to myself, like, the PUP wasn't even mentioned at this stage. And I was like, they're not going to put me on the dole because I haven't lost my job. Like, I started panicking. I was like, I'm going to have to get a job somewhere else. And I never, ever, ever want to have to go back and work for someone else, because that's just not me anymore, you know. To be working for myself for so many years and then have to go back and work for someone else, like, would be my worst nightmare. Like, but someday that might have to happen, you know. You just don't know what's around the corner. But sure, I couldn't even work for anyone else because everywhere was bleeding closed. Everywhere, do you remember?
Yeah. It was only like the, oh my God, it's the, what way do you word it? Like the hospitals and the
Yeah,
doctors
the frontliners, like,
Yes,
so
that's it,
retail, like, and only like essential retail, so food, like, and yeah, like I'd say anyone who did lose their job was straight in there trying to get a job, you know, and then not that I felt it would be demoralising to work in a shopping centre or anything, but it would be embarrassing for me to, you know, be all over the media, on the radio, in the papers, and then all of a sudden I'm serving you at Tesco and they're like, are you not like selling out Vicar Street? You know what I mean? Like, that's the way, like, there's nothing wrong. I walked in
and
fucking
it's probably in your head as well. You'd be thinking, oh, what are people going to like think?
Like what happened to you? Yeah, that's the part of it. Like, Jesus, what did your career like not go anywhere? Like, you know, I thought you were earning loads of money and all, like, and I wasn't really at the start, you know. But like, I walked in Extra Vision, I walked in pubs, like, and if I had to, I'd go back and walk in like Dunn's or Tesco. Do you know what I mean? You have to earn a living, but I didn't. I felt embarrassed that people would be like, oh, you have been selling out multiple venues and now you're serving me fucking bag of potatoes, like, you know, like, what happened to you? That's what I was afraid. But like, if it had to be done, it had to be done. I would have to, like, to pay me bills, like, because at that stage I did have a lot of bills. I had me car, had to pay me ma rent, I had me credit union again, you know, I had holidays booked where I lost money on it and stuff. But what did I end up doing then? Then the PUP came out and I was like, if you earned over a certain amount, you get X amount. And I was like, oh, lovely. I think it was like $350 to start off. I was like, thank fuck. I was like, you know what, this country is a lot of things, but they look after you, like, in situations like this. And that kept me afloat, thank God. But then, just actually before COVID hit, I was been doing loads of training with a PT, and I actually really enjoyed it, and I realised how to lose body fat properly, and, you know, you don't have to starve yourself and like live on a bleeding treadmill. And I was like, you know, I actually want to help other girls realise how simple this is. So I done a PT course, and it was
that long, the PT course?
I think it was about 6 months. And it was with Image Fitness, and it was in Flyfit in Tallaght, in it, like in a classroom. And it was weird because I was sitting in the class and then like people were kind of looking at me being like, are you on Facebook? And I was like, yeah. And like, I was like, what are you doing here? Like, do you not do comedy? And I was like, no, like, they are opposite ends of the spectrum though, aren't they? Comedian, PT. But like, you can have more than one hobby.
Yeah, so but you're basically just like learning how to eat properly, how to stay lean, fitness, you know, all of that you probably didn't know of. So even if you don't take it anywhere, you're going to still know all that information and knowledge, you know? Yeah,
and that's what I wanted to do. When I learned that, I was like, oh my God, this is how simple it is. And like, I was going out only eating pink food and walking 20,000 steps a day and, you know, cutting out any type of sugar in my diet and all. I was like, this is absolutely like crazy. I mean, PT Craig, I actually went to school with him when I seen he was advertising for clients in a gym across the road from where I lived. And he was like, yeah, and I'd love to take it on. And the stuff that he taught me, and then I was watching other YouTubers from Ireland like explain it in layman's terms. And I was like, I want other women to know how simple this actually is, and that they're going out and they're overworking themselves and they're doing things they don't have to do. So I'd done the PT course, and another string to me bow as well, you know, like another stream of income where I could go out and work as that too.
Yeah.
But
and it's all online now as well that you do, isn't it?
It's all online,
so you can do it around your own hours and stuff.
But I did work in a gym, and when COVID hit, I graduated in the January from that course, and COVID hit in the March. And I was like, what am I going to do? So there was a fella who lived in my area, and he had a gym up the road, about 20 minutes, about 15-minute drive up the road from me in Newcastle. And I seen that one of his staff were leaving, and like my fella knew the gym as well. And he goes, oh, did you see our one's leaving from that gym? He goes, why don't you text Jamie, Jamie's his name, and see if he's taking anyone on? And I was like, oh, do you know what, I will, because I wasn't working like COVID. And he had an outside area. The gym hadn't closed at this stage, I don't think. And he had an outside training area, and I texted him and he goes, yeah, come up. And he was like, oh yeah, we'd love to have you. Like, you can shadow us for a couple of months and see how we run things. And then, he ended up giving me a job there. So like, I was able to make money then being a PT, and I'd done that for about 2 years, and I got loads of experience. And then eventually then when COVID ended and me comedy career started picking back up, I was getting too busy because the hours were mad. Like, you were doing like split shifts. You were getting up at like 5 a.m. to train people from 6 to 8, then coming back in the evening from 6 to 8. You know, like, you're working when people aren't working. And at the time, I wasn't busy because of COVID, but then things started picking up gradually. And then I was like, look, I can't do this anymore. Like, I'm going to have to go online, like, and train people, because I still loved it. And I started a page, and that Instagram page is growing now as well. And like, I have like, you know, 20 girls that I train online, like, and it's great. Like, and I love helping people. I love seeing like the difference it makes. And the biggest thing I love is when they realise I actually don't have to like cut out like me curries or me chocolate bars, or I don't have to like upend myself in the gym 7 days a week. I love when they start developing a healthy relationship with exercise and food. And that's the only mark I want to leave on them. But yeah, it's great. And social media is a great way to market yourself. It's like your shop window, you know. when people see our reels and all, and they actually see,
you have a funny side to your videos as well on your PT page.
Yeah, like that's why I try like get me sense of humour across, but that's why I kept them separate. I didn't want to upload fitness stuff to me Give a Laugh page because like a lot of people are going to be like, I don't follow you for that, follow you for a laugh.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to like turn me fitness page into a comedy page because I like I'm actually here to be educated what's going on here, you know. But you want to show your sense of humour and your personality too. Like
even in your videos as well, it's like layman's terms, the way you actually explain things. And that you have your podcast coming out as well on that.
Yeah, I'm starting a podcast now. It's called Coach Enya Below the Bar podcast, and I'm just going to ramble on like by myself, and I'll have guests on too because PTs don't know everything, you know, and I'd love to get people on to educate me in certain subjects and the people listening. But yeah, it's just because, like I said, I started off watching YouTubers and they explain things in layman terms to me, so I actually want to start educating girls now.
Yeah.
And break it down for them, like, because that's what a lot of it comes down to. It's just lack of education. They don't really know where to start or what to do because there's so much shit going around. All like toxic diet culture and all is just poison people's minds. Like,
yeah, and even when you're doing that's what I was saying to you earlier on. I've been doing online coaching 2-3 years now, and I've only learned recently what is the difference between a deficit, maintaining, or bulking. Yeah, like so, and me macros probably learned that only about a year ago, where normally I was just calorie counting, not realising that like
there's so much more to it than that.
Yeah, obviously you need your right amount of fats, protein, carbs, you know, and yeah, most people do. Like when they get into fitness, I feel like that's the way they look at it, as in like, what my calories are and that's what I can have.
Yeah, if I was to abbreviate it all, like condense it into a couple of minutes, I would say use a TD calculator, TDEE. Tell it how many days a week you're going to be walking out, and your height, weight and age, and that will tell you, it'll give you your 3 types of calories, your deficit calories, your maintenance and your bulking. So if you want to lose weight, you're looking at your deficit calories. And then you can use MyFitnessPal then to track your calories. So what I usually do is a pound of body weight per 1 gram of protein. So if you were 140 pounds, eat 140 grams of protein a day. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And then there's 4 calories of 1 gram of protein, 4 calories of 1 gram of carbs, and 9 calories of 1 gram of fat. So, you know, once you have your protein sorted, you can spend the rest of your calories on whatever you like once you reach your protein goal.
Yeah, like that's the most important one.
Yeah, and break it up throughout the day. Like, obviously don't have all your protein in one sitting because you'd be bleeding sick. But like, people think you would. Like, and I would say like 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal is great if you had 3 meals a day. But a lot of people think, I'm just in a calorie deficit.
I used to put 2 scoops of protein in my overnight oats.
So I'd say that was a bit much, was it?
Like, I got used to it after a while, but then I was like, I actually don't even need to have that much.
Why you don't.
Because I was just trying to make sure I get it in. Like, so if I don't get it in later, then I know that's, you know.
Yeah, but that's what a lot of people think, once I'm in a calorie deficit, that's it. No, like, you have to have the same meal times every day, so that way you can stabilise your hunger hormones and you're not feeling hungry at random times a day.
Yeah.
Because you get people, like, I do check-ins with clients and they're only eating like 1,100 calories a day, and it's not on purpose. Like, they're like, I just didn't have time. I was like, well, you're going to have to make time, because what's going to happen is you're going to get to the weekend.
I never have no time to eat. I did be on the M50 eating. Like, there's never a time today where I won't have time to eat.
Eating on the go. But like, sometimes you have to meal prep and you're like, do you know what, I'm not going to be in the house today, so make something cold that you can eat on the go, like a bowl of bolognese or like overnight oats. Little things like that. There's more to it, but like trying to stick to the same meal times daily will massively help, trust me.
Yeah. So bringing it back to comedy, you were in a movie, Deadly Cuts.
Yeah.
Saying that, yeah. It was real funny. How did you find that?
I got that through Facebook. She messaged me, Rachel Carey, who was the director and the writer. She messaged me through Facebook, and I get a lot of messages about like student videos or student movies and stuff like that, you know, and I honestly don't have the time, but this just gathered me attention for some reason, and I was like, I had a look at her profile and I was like, oh, she looks really legit, like. And I was like, oh, can you tell me more about it? She was like, yeah, no, we have a role in mind that we think you'd be great for, and this is the production company and this is the budget. And I was like, oh my God, like, it was like 7 figures.
Yeah, so you knew it was a big
this is going to be a big opportunity, yeah. So I was like, oh yeah, I'd love to. So I went in and I done the audition. It was for the main girl, actually, who ended up being played by Erica Rowe. And I had to go into the room with like her and like 2 other girls, and we had to like do one of the scenes. So
what was her character again, the audition that you done? I watched it, but that was a while ago now, wasn't it?
Linsey, I think her name, wasn't it?
So that's the one that you played, isn't it?
Yeah, and Stacey was the name of the lead girl.
So that's who you were meant to be going for?
Yeah.
So Stacey, which girl was that again?
She was the main girl. You know, her ma was like living in Spain and all, and I don't want to reveal too much.
Right, yeah.
But you know, towards the end of the film, like, she storms out of the pub because she's had to get a phone call off her ma.
Yeah.
Her ma's not able to come home. But yeah, I went for her originally, but they all put us in a room and made us do a scene together. And they made us play different characters in the scene, like every take. So I think they were trying to scope it out. So I didn't get it. And then what happened is they goes, look, we gave it to someone else, but we have another character in mind that we think you'd be gas for. So obviously I think they were associating it with Shanto, like that type of character.
Yeah.
And God, when I actually look back at me in that movie, I have brown hair and I still have it. I actually had a bit of weight on me and I just look totally unrecognisable. I do. Like me fella's ma said that, she goes, geez, I didn't even recognise you. You look so different now. Like, but yeah, and I ended up playing that character and it was gas. Like I thought I'd only have a line or two, but I had a good few scenes in it. Like, and it was so like surreal. Like some of the actors that were on it with you, like, you know, Mrs. Dial from Father Ted, a couple of love hate actors, Angeline Ball, who was in The Commitment, like, and they were all lovely. Like it was such a great experience. Like you were picked up from my house in Clondalkin. We filmed it out in Loughlinstown at like 5 a.m. because they'd be long days. Like, and that was 2019 and COVID hit then in the March. So I was delighted that we got it out of the way. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the premiere came out not this year. I think it was last year, and it went number 1 on Netflix and everything. It did.
Did it? Yeah.
Yeah, in Ireland, I went number 1 on Netflix. Yeah. I was chuffed. I was like, I'm in that.
Yeah, I was on the bus and all. I was like, there's Enya.
Yeah, it was bizarre. Like, it was mad. And do you know what? The one thing I regret is I obviously went to the premiere to see it in the cinema. I think it was in the Savoy. No, it wasn't. It was in Cineworld. Was it? Oh God, I forget where it was now. No, it was the Odeon, you know, with the Tree Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Odeon cinema. It was there. The premiere was gas. But one thing I regret is obviously everyone was going to laugh at the funny bits at the premiere and like, you know, but I would have loved to go to the actual cinema to see it and just sit in the back just to see the actual public's reaction. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was one thing I regret not doing. But yeah, it was amazing. And
so
like,
when you watched it, you were watching it with everyone who was actually just in the film?
Yeah, like, and then like obviously there was loads of media and all there as well. But no, it wasn't. It was great, you know, when you see our line on screen and everyone starts laughing. Like, yeah, that was. And do you know what?
Here's me.
I know, that's me. And I hope more comes from it because like I said, I get a lot of work from people. Just like I'm actually going to be. I don't know whether I can say it yet, but like I haven't signed like the contract, but I'm going to be writing a book now. I am. And like,
really?
Yeah, and I was approached through Instagram. Like I won't go into
Instagram brings it everywhere. It opens so many doors.
I won't go into too much detail about it just in case, but like basically approached me like it's a big Irish publisher, like, and they were like, we think you'd be a great candidate to write a funny book. And I was like, oh really? And they were like, yeah, like would you have any ideas? So I came back to them then after a while. I was like, oh no, I'd definitely be up for it. And I gave them this idea. And they're like, we love that idea. Can you write a draft chapter? So I had to write a draft chapter. And I sent it to them and they're like, yeah, we'll send it around to our editorial team and see what they say. So they could come back and be like, yeah, they didn't really like it, but you know, we might work with you in the future. But they came back after 2 weeks and they were like, oh my God, like we all voted unanimously and we love this idea.
Yeah.
We have to get the contract written up. Can you have it written by X date? And I was like, oh, right, I'll try. But yeah, so that's...
So how long have you got to write this book?
I'd say it'll have to be done within the next... Well, basically, if it's written and released, it won't be released till next Christmas. Because by the time it goes through the editing process and all that, but it's it has to be written within like the next 3 months, and then it starts going through. Starts going through the editing process. Then you get your illustrator on board and all.
And what way does that? So writing your book then? So will that have to be like you'll just write your ideas and whatever, like write the actual book, but then obviously like your grammar and all that get checked and stuff.
That's what an editor's for, yeah. Right, so you'll write it out and they'll be just like, oh my God, this person done foundation English.
Yeah, that's like me. My essays used to be just a big huge paragraph.
Yeah. But like, do you know what? I've actually gotten better at over the years, but like when I look back now to like my leaving cert, me grammar and all was shocking. Like I never knew what a comma was. I'd say when people were reading things, like what? Do you know, my teacher actually, we all in the English teacher made a very good point. She's like, a comma is like a full stop within a sentence. Like that's how I know when to use it now. I'm like, right, that shouldn't sound like it's all in one sentence. Like you should put a comma in between it.
Someone turned around to me and said, do you don't braid when you're talking? Do you just like...
That's how I think Irish people speak. Like, you know, when you're over in Spain, like, you haven't got a fucking clue what you're
they're like, will you slow down?
Yeah. But yeah, like, it'll be a big project. It'll be a lot to take on. But like, yeah, it'd be great for me profile. So I won't reveal too much details. But that's the hope now. Like, once I sign the contract, then I'll probably be able to say something then.
Yeah. And have you done any acting courses or anything?
Yeah, I did. I did acting courses as well. I think it was, I can't really remember. I have such a shit memory, whether it was during college or after college. I think it was after college. I done an evening course. It was over 3 months. It was like every Wednesday, I think, or was it 6 months or a year? I'm not too sure. I'm shit again with memory. But to be honest, like, I don't think it made that much of a difference. Like, I think I was already acting in my videos anyway, you know?
Yeah.
If anything, I probably just became more confident in my videos.
Yeah, but that's still good. I feel like all of it, most of it is confidence, isn't it?
Yeah, and I am acting in my videos. And then like that, the acting role I got in Deadly Cuts, like they didn't ask if I had any acting background, you know? Like they looked at my videos and thought, oh, well, she can act, so we'll ask her, you know? So
Yeah.
that's how I got that. But I'd love to do more stuff like that. And I have been like trying to work on different projects, like maybe write my own TV show or my own movie. But sometimes there's not enough hours in the day. Like
Yeah,
really
like the episodes that you had on YouTube.
Oh God, yeah, Shanto. Oh God, like when I think back,
They were like, I was only looking at them yesterday. They're like 40 minutes long, aren't they?
yeah, they were. It was a web series that we did. So I used to have the character Shanto, obviously, and she had a fella called Anto, and we ended up building like this little mini series where like the ma was in it and like, you know, the friends and all were in it. But like the themes of the episode like were just based around like antisocial behaviour. Like, I used to have mothers coming up to me in the street and they'd be like, me young one loves them videos on YouTube, and I'm like, the ones about drugs, or like it was a how would you let your child watch that? But
Are you not? You're able to put like age restriction or something on it, can't you? On YouTube videos.
yeah, but then I was just like,
But then they'd probably get in anyways. I think you
Yeah.
have to lie. You have to be 18 to be on it, probably. Yeah.
like they found a way around it. Like, but back then I wasn't really that strict, like, you know.
Yeah. And then with the comedy of Huskies, is that what it's called?
In the company of Huskies.
yeah. Sorry. Yeah. What way does that work?
That was I done about 3 internships after college, and that was the last one that I done, and I actually really enjoyed it. I really like the people there. Do you know where it is? It's directly across the river from the Tree Arena, so it's facing the Tree Arena, like, and I got that. I just applied for it, I think. I was looking for like internships online. I went for an interview. I forget how I actually got it. I don't know how I got it. I think I got it through a friend.
And internships, they're all free, aren't they?
Yeah, so
free work.
it's basically like work experience.
Yeah,
I done it for like about 3 or 4 months, and they do give you like £100 a month, like for your 100 quid a week for your transport and all. And
I was going to say a month.
I know, yeah. And I was working in Extravision at the time as well. Like, so I was bleeding knackered. I used to come home from the internship and go straight into Extravision, and then I'd come home from Extravision and I'd fall asleep in my uniform. I was that tired. But I really loved it. I really loved the people that I worked with, and there was a potential in me to get kept on, and it was a blessing in disguise because they didn't. Now, they were all lovely. They ended up hiring someone who had like years of experience. I was a data analyst, so basically they do loads of ad campaigns for brands on social media. So let's say, like, I'm looking at my bank card, AIB. They'd be like, yeah, we'll put an ad campaign out on Facebook and see how well it does. Like, they come up with all the creative behind it. You know, when you see like ads on telly, like there's a group of people that come up with the idea behind that. And that's what like in the company of Huskies were like, they would come up with the idea and they'd, you know, basically when brands come to me, that's what they're looking for. Like, and I wanted a job as a creative director. So they're the people who come up with, say, like, I'm just thinking like, what's an ad that you remember off the telly? Your man coming in and fixing the fridge, and he's like, we're off the Tom Linos. Oh, the washing machine upstairs for thinking downstairs.
Yeah.
So a group of people would have sat around a table and thought of that idea and thought, right, we'll get the plumber to say this and all, and they'll make it funny. I wanted to be the person who come up with the ideas. That's the job I wanted. But now brands are coming to me and they're like, yeah, we're putting an ad out on social media. We already have an ad out on the telly.
Yeah, I've seen you done a few, like Domino's, isn't it?
Yeah, so now I'm like the creative. Now they'll come to you with the concept. They'll be like, we want you to do this, but we want you to make up the script. Now, obviously, you can't course around like that. And then sometimes they'll just be like, oh, we have a new drink out. Can you just come up with an idea? And I'd be like, yeah. And like, I done a video with my ma there recently, Green Farm products. Yeah. And they're like turkey, chicken and all. Like, they sell them in most supermarkets. And I was like, right, how am I going to make this funny? So basically, I pretended that I was doing the video in my kitchen. And I was like, hey, so I have this product and I've been eating it now for the last few months. And my ma's in the background. And she's pretending like she doesn't know what I'm doing. And she's like, what are you talking about? And she keeps interrupting me. But like, it actually got over 200,000 views. Nearly 6,000 likes. Like, it was the best ad I think the best performing ad I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah. So like, that's
And
why.
would they, with the, obviously you probably don't want to talk about what way the payment worked or whatever, but would they pay you more on depending how many views you get?
No, so they'll just come up with a set fee, and they usually approach people who they like their engagement. They're like, oh, like she really engages a lot with our audience, because if you have like 200,000 followers and you're only getting 10 likes on a post, they're going to be like, that's shit, like no one's going to engage with that. But what other brands will do is they'll look at that and be like, oh, we want to work with her, like look how much engagement she got, like people, and you're creating awareness around the brand. Then do you know what I mean? Loads of people are going to know then who Green Farm are, even if they didn't care about the product, they were just watching it for me and my ma. But yeah, and then I left that in the company of Huskies, and now years later, I'm like doing that same type of job. Do you know what I mean? But I was a data analyst. I was nowhere near like a creative director. So basically, when they would put the ads out on social media, I'd be like doing a spreadsheet, and I'd be putting all like the engagement numbers into the spreadsheet. Like, oh, 10 people liked it, 10 people commented on it. It reached 3,000 people. And like that's all you'd be doing all day, just taking all the info from the ads online.
Yeah, and that's not what you wanted to be doing.
Yeah, and I wanted to be the creative, like on the creative team.
And then with the agencies, that's what you're saying, you work with agencies, like would they find you them type of jobs, like working with say Domino's or Graham Farm?
Yeah, so they'd have a number of clients.
They'd get in contact with you then say, oh, this brand or business wants to work with you, is it?
Yeah, so I asked them before how it works. So they said there's a number of ways. Either they'll come to Outset, that's the name of the agency, and they're like, oh, we want to work with Enya on this. Or else they'll come like, who do you have that would be good for this? And they'll pitch me. They're like, oh, Enya would probably fit that product very well. Or else they'll see like something on my page, and they'll go directly to the email. Do you know what I mean? So like they'll contact Outset then and be like, oh, we want to work with Enya. But yeah, like that's how it works, and that's one of my main streams of income. Like, and as your following grows as well, like you can demand
You'll
more
get
money.
bigger brands, and
because you're like, this is reaching more people, you know.
And you have your own show now on Saturdays with FM 104, don't you?
Yeah. Do you know what? Like I remember you were saying you were looking at me LinkedIn. Like I actually really have to update that. But I went to do a PLC course. I won't say where after school, because again, remember I was saying I went to Tele IT and I wanted to do radio media production. There was like radio and TV involved in that. So I said, you know what? I'll chance my arm and go to do a PLC in this college. An interview for radio production, and when I went in for the interview, they were like, "Yeah, we don't really think radio's for you." Like that's basically what they were saying. Like now, to be honest, I was still
in the
really
PLC course.
Yeah, you had to go for an interview for it. Like they weren't saying it. They didn't come out and say that, but like that's basically what they were saying. Like, yeah, would you not try this, or maybe give it a few years? But 10 years later, after like that was I think it was only like 19 at the time. Like I got that job in the radio last September when I was 29. So like 10 years later, I ended up getting a job on the radio then. And it was through my own accord. They contacted me through Instagram again.
The same people that told you no?
No, the people who work in FM 104. His name is Phil. So he was like, oh, do you know what? We need more Dublin people on Dublin radio stations.
Yeah.
I've listened to it because I did have an old podcast with my
I
friend.
just said people that they can relate to, and then people know you as well off Instagram, so they'd be more inclined to listen to you then.
Yeah, like that's because I had an old podcast with my friend Jordan, and he said he had listened to a couple of episodes of that, and he goes, "Oh, like I really like your banter and stuff like that, and I think you do really well on radio." And obviously because I am a bit of a public figure, he was like, that helps as well, like, and it'll help your profile too. And I've done a couple of shifts on the Strawberry Alarm Clock, like, and it's great when people come to you on a night out and they're like, I love listening to you on a Saturday and all, and I'll be doing that a year now, come the end of September, like. Yeah, but it's great. Like that's another string to your bow, like it's
opens more doors and stuff, networking and all.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like the opportunities I've got from putting myself out there on social media. So if anyone has a talent and they're not on social media, like the amount of people who've gotten famous from just doing TikTok videos, like they've gotten like Hollywood movie roles from just being on TikTok.
Really?
Like, I forget that. I think her name is Madison Beard. You know her, and is that who she is? I don't know what it's for, but she ended up hanging around with the Kardashians and all. And she just grew into this big TikToker, and like she ended up getting like movie roles. Like she was hanging around with the Kardashians and all, like just from
TikTok videos.
Just from blowing up on TikTok. Yeah. Like I know people who are making like 6 figures, 7 figures from like just growing their business on social media, and because they just go so viral, they're reaching everyone from
everything
all over the world.
Is online now.
And like I said, with this new Reel feature on Instagram and Facebook, like beforehand, when I used to upload a video, only my followers would really see it, unless they shared it on their timeline or else they tagged their friends. That's how new people would see it. But now with Reels on Facebook and Instagram, it's getting pushed out to like people all over the world, people who don't even follow you. It's becoming like TikTok. And that's what I said, like some of the Irish mammy videos that I put on my Facebook page, like there's a different audience on Facebook. They're all like kind of like older people, like the older demographic.
Yeah.
I remember I put a video about like, oh, when your ma feels guilty for lettering the arse off you, right? Now, we all grew up in Ireland. We all knew what it was like to get a few slaps on the arse, like off your ma. But like all the Americans being like, child abuse, I'm triggered. Oh my God, I can hear her crying and it's bringing me back to my childhood. And I'm like, take a fucking joke, will you? Like, as if like I would like literally, what would it, condone child abuse? Like they take everything literal. So that's one downside.
That's like what people say when you're going to a comedy show. Like if you're going to take everything to heart. I went to see...
you have to be dramatic about everything. Like, do you know what I mean? You have to over dramatise things. Like that actually didn't happen. My ma didn't let her the arse on me, like, or batter me. Now I know some people that does happen to them. Like my ma got an awful upbringing, but like they just take everything literal. Like they don't have a sense of humour. Like they don't realise this is just a joke. Like, you know.
Yeah. I went to Ricky Gervais there a couple of weeks ago, and he was literally like slagging disabled people, foreigners, coloured, like, and do you know what I mean? Like I'm foreign, but like you'd have to, like, talking about ADHD and all. He was like, and you just need to take it as a joke, don't you? Like, you know, if you take everything to heart, he's not like what's the point in going? Like,
yeah,
there's me Siri talking.
Oh, like totally. Like there was something like that where someone texts me after a show, and I'm like, don't go to a comedy show if you're going to fucking sit there, because you know what, they laugh at something else that someone could find offensive, but they bite their lip. But the thing that they find offensive, they're like, now hang on a minute. And I'm like, there was literally like 10 other things I said in that show that like you could have pulled me up on, but you're offended by this one thing. And then Ricky Gervais actually made a very good point. He's like, how privileged or how entitled do you think you are that you're going to go through the rest of your life never being offended
by something?
Yeah, like, or never, like, that you shouldn't be offended by anything. And it's like, yeah, you're going to go through life, and yes, people are going to piss you off about certain things, but like you can't expect, like you can't like jump back every time somebody says, like they say something that you don't agree with. Like it's going to happen, it's part of life. Yeah. You know, like it's just, you can't like police every word that comes out of someone's mouth. You can't. And if you go to a comedy show, I'm sorry, but you can get away with a lot more on stage than you can with online. Like when it's online, it's there forever, but when it's on stage, like Tommy Tiernan was trying to ban phones and all from his gigs.
Yeah, so yeah, but if it's like, say the way you said every single gig, like say you're ask your ma, that's all kind of the same as in a show for everyone. Imagine someone was recording it and
that's why I don't like it. Yeah, do you know what? If you go to see a music concert, you know what songs they're going to sing, but when you go see a comedy show, it's like,
if someone hears it, it's not going to be funny anymore.
Yeah, it's not going to be funny. And like, I don't know, like I don't mind when they record, you know, at the top of the show or the end when everyone's clapping and all, but like I'm not messing. Like I get tagged in videos when people come to see my show, and like they're like 2-minute long videos of me on stage with my material, and they think I'm going to reshare that.
Or you get someone just recording the whole thing.
Yeah, it's
for
like,
the whole show. Like
it's like, watch it. Like it's not like a music concert. Like if you're recording that, you're obviously not listening to the joke. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Because your focus is elsewhere. But no, I'll never reshare it. Like I'll never reshare if someone like tags me in like a 2-minute video of me standing up on stage revealing all my material, because the end of my show, like it's a huge punchline and it ties up with the whole show. Like, so if people knew it, like they know what's coming, and like it's just,
and everyone who follows you is probably the people that are going to the show. So you're obviously not going to reshare it on your stories, like.
Yeah, and I hope now as well that like word of mouth is getting out, that like people who haven't heard of me, they don't even know me from social media. They've literally just heard of me from friends and family about, oh, I went to see this girl the weekend, she was very good, you should go see her, or we'll go see her when she's back. You know, like that's where I hope it ends up going. Like I hope I am a household name for stand up and not just me social media, you know.
Yeah.
That's the hope, like.
So what's the future for Enya, and what's your goals?
It changes all the time, but yeah, like I just said there, I'd love to be a household name in Ireland, and then obviously the UK as well eventually. Yeah. That's the next big dream, is to get in, because I've started to mix with some people from the UK. Like they've been over here, or they've come to see me, like, and you know, they kind of have jobs in the industry. Yeah. And they're like, they'd love you over in London. Like you should go over to London and do that set. Like they'd love it. You know, like East Londoners, like EastEnders, like that type of, they'd love you. Like they'd get all that humour. So I want to try break the ice and like cut my teeth with that. And then obviously I want to expand me online coaching service, because you can do that anywhere in the world. I'd love to be able to travel. Like I'd love to travel for a while and, you know, press pause on comedy for a couple of months or maybe even half a year and go somewhere else and just, see how that goes. Or, you know, hopefully if I'm in a really good financial position, I can like fly back and forth and stuff. But for the moment, it's just working on growing my profile. And like I said, before COVID, it was growing. And then we got a roadblock, and now I'm just starting to build momentum again. But again, the Gives a Laugh page helps massively with that, and the reel feature, you know.
Yeah,
like the amount of followers I've gotten because of like just uploading reels, and it's reaching new people. Like I think from March I've grown like an extra 10,000, 15,000 followers. Like
that's amazing. Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, I used to promote all my posts and stuff like that, but then I was like, no, I'll just post reels every day. Yeah, that's basically like free promotion, because everyone who doesn't follow you sees it. Where with your posts now, that's just literally just your followers, unless we're saying someone tags you or reshares the post.
And give people a reason to watch it, like not a reason to watch it, but a reason to share it, being like, oh, this is gas, like I'll reshare this, or like, you know, if you pull at any type of emotion, people are gonna like remember that video, you know, whether it makes them sad, happy, laugh, etc., or angry.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever see like people like videos like where, I don't know, it's like a video of someone being like beaten up or something, or like it's an animal cruelty video, like they get hundreds of thousands of views, millions, because people are angry watching them. And then funny videos get hundreds of thousands, millions of views because people laugh at them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what we learned in advertising anyway. But yeah, make it relatable. That's how my videos ended up doing so well.
Yeah, everyone tagging and resharing.
Yeah, and like there's that company, I don't know, they're actually from Dublin, Naples. Is it Slice of Naples?
No, I've heard of Maple.
Naples, yeah, Slice of Naples. They make pizza.
Oh right, no, I'm thinking of like a marketing agency that contacted me before. No, not that.
No, they actually make a pizza. They make pizza, like they have a pizza van, and they're two Irish girls, but they like do reenact loads of scenes from Irish films and like TV shows, and like they're going really viral.
Is it a caravan or
like a trailer?
Seen it, yeah.
So that's how they're like connecting with the public, you know.
Yeah, unreal. Thanks so much for coming on, Enya.
No worries, enjoyed it. Yeah.
So if anyone is looking out to reach, where can they find you?
Gives a Laugh on Instagram and Facebook, and then Coach Enya if you're looking to follow my fitness page on Instagram.
Thanks for coming on.
No, enjoyed it. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much for listening. If you're looking to reach out, you can find us at Unlock Potential Podcast on Instagram, or at Demi's Nails and Beauty on Instagram as well. I hope you enjoyed.